Before I get into this video, yes, you should absolutely jump into this series. I picked it up late last year and I am kicking myself for not playing it sooner. The Yakuza series is a daunting stack of games to get into. There's fucking 7 of them, and an average playthrough of one game will take about 30 hours at the least. But with that said, they're a blast and totally worth it. And your best entry points right now are Yakuza 0 or Yakuza Kiwami. I'll be comparing both of them, and yeah, you can read the video's title. In case you're still on the fence, here's a quick rundown of these games. At their core, they're beat-em-ups, but Yakuza takes a quantity over quality approach for its combat, and that's not a bad thing. For these two titles, each character has multiple fighting styles for different situations, which keeps the gameplay from being too shallow or getting stale. After punching enough thugs without getting hit, you can perform heat actions, which are these really sick, over-the-top finishing moves. They may look pretty serious, but don't worry, no one ever dies in Yakuza unless the plot demands it, because Kiryu definitely doesn't kill anybody. There are also various weapons in the games, which are typically for tricky situations or if you're on the verge of rage quitting and need to bust out the big guns. The reason why is because ever since Japan banned weapons, criminals everywhere had to resort to crafting weapons out of recycled aluminum and plywood because they break after a handful of hits. But seriously, they're really powerful but flimsy, so save them for especially challenging fights. You know, typical glass cannon stuff. Which, come to think of it, should probably be a weapon in Yakuza, because some of them are downright ridiculous. Both games use the Yakuza 5 engine, so combat is more similar than different. Kiwami is the ground-up remake of the first game from the PS2 era, and the more recent one, so the combat is a little bit more refined than Zero, especially with its QuickTime events. However, these games are so much fun because of their variety. Whether it's rock, paper, scissors, pocket circuit racing, bowling, there's always something to do. And this stays true for the combat. Zero has 2 characters with 3 unique fighting styles each, with the ability to unlock the 4th one after completing the main side quests. Yes, a main side quest. That's a thing in this. On the other hand, Kiwami has Kiryu with just 4 from the get-go. So as a whole, Zero has more variety, which can range from a pretty standard moveset to breakdancing and fuck shit up by picking up everything around you style. That's also in Kiwami though. The biggest difference on the gameplay side of things comes from how you level up. Zero uses cold hard cash, so there's more scarcity when you need to decide to buy something or level up. Kiwami has its XP stand alone from yen, so I had way too much of both by the end of the game. I will say that I loved leveling up the dragon style in Kiwami more than anything else though. In order to improve that fighting style, you need to battle Majima, the other protagonist from Zero, in various absurd ways. While the gameplay is pretty similar, the main differences come from how you experience the stories in the order that you want. Yakuza Kiwami follows the series' poster boy, whose permanent scowl makes it look like a small animal crawled up his nose and died. And he just can't quite get it out. Anyway, Kiryu gets slapped with a murder charge to protect his best friend. After 10 years in prison, everything has changed, and he finds himself in the middle of multiple plot threads revolving around 10 billion yen missing and this little girl. Yakuza 0 is the prequel set in the 1980s and follows Kiryu and Majima. At this time, Kiryu is still an up-and-coming Yakuza doing simple debt collections in Tokyo. Unfortunately for him, his mark ends up dead in the Empty Lot, an important piece of land for a development project Kiryu's Yakuza family is spearheading. Despite being framed, this causes a whole bunch of issues for the Dojima family and his adoptive father. So Kiryu works to clear his name. And god damn it, Kiryu, for the love of all that is holy, stop getting blamed for murder! Majima is currently the manager of Osaka's most popular cabaret, but this is merely a front as his punishment for refusing an order a couple years ago. He's eagerly looking for a way to get back into the Yakuza game, so his handler says he can pull a few strings if he can assassinate one Makoto Makimura. Both games' plots are complex and filled with all kinds of twists and turns until all the threads finally connect together in the end. It's presented in a masterful way by drip-feeding you exposition throughout the intense drama. I never once got bored or confused learning about the interwoven politics of the Tojo clan. No matter what's happening, Yakuza makes sure to put its heart into it. The drama is just melodramatic enough to build the appropriate amount of hype and tension for the kick-ass action sequences. It's a very Japanese way of storytelling, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Not to mince words though, Yakuza 0 is the better story, and that's kind of to be expected considering the developer Sega had 10 years to learn and refine their story writing chops. To prevent any burnout or exhaustion from the intense main story, the game offers you plenty of wacky, absurd side quests to give you a breather. These are always fun to play, and I highly suggest sniffing them out during a playthrough. Buy a kid a porn magazine. Help an honest and totally legal mushroom seller clean up his image. Teach a dominatrix how to do her job. Protect Michael Jackson from zombies. The list goes on forever. Essentially, it's the comedy relief that you get to choose to complete. Now all that fun shit I just mentioned, it's Yakuza 0. Again, 0 has the better side quests, but it's for the same reasons that I mentioned for the main stories. Yakuza 0 is a prequel with all the refinements of the 5 games before it, and Kiwami is an updated remake. There's only so much you can do to the story and side quests and still have it be faithful to the original. While I enjoyed Kiwami's side quests, they feel a bit formulaic at times, as it's just Kiryu dealing with another scammer and then beating some people up. Most of the wackiness for Kiwami comes from the Majima Everywhere part of the game that was added in. And, well, just see for yourself. Now, remember those main side quests that I mentioned? That's another reason why 0 is the better game for me. Kiryu is a real estate advisor and Majima runs a cabaret club. They're both used to unlock later sections of the skill tree and fun in their own right. Like you can win a chicken from the bowling minigame to be a property manager, or hire the old granny to be a girl at your cabaret club. It's awesome and also adds an extra layer of things you can be rewarded for in unrelated side quests, encouraging you to hunt them down just to do more. Okay, yeah, so my Yakuza 0 bias is showing quite a bit, but just because I think it's the better game, that's not always the case for what makes a good starting point. There is value in playing 0 as a prequel and start with Kiwami. For me, Majima steals the show in 0. His character arc and growth are fantastic. Kiryu's story is still good, but personally it was a little conflicting knowing Majima isn't going to be the main character for the rest of the series. Point is, moving to Kiwami after 0 isn't the most thrilling. But it's a double-edged sword because the extra screen time in 0 is vital for Majima as well as Nishiki because you understand them and their motivations better in Kiwami, making the experience more impactful. However, if you flip the order, the same could be said about Kazuma. You hear about how great he is in 0, but you actually get to see that firsthand in Kiwami. Okay, so if you've been watching this long, I'm guessing you want a concrete answer. I still think Yakuza 0 is the best starting point, and you can continue chronologically in the story if you're interested. But credit where credit is due. Either one is a great entry into the series. Hell, many players who have been Yakuza fans for years jump right in at the 3rd, 4th, or 5th entry. And I think that says something about the overall level of quality and consistency that Yakuza provides. Sega has been incrementally improving after each title and is still experimenting here and there to push the envelope. Hopefully this video helped you decide or convince you to jump into the series at the very least if you already haven't. I know I'm late to the party, but these games are really a damn good time. Thank you so much for watching, and since you're interested in Yakuza, be sure to check out Backlog Battle. Alex over there is a Yakuza veteran, and he helped look over my script to make sure I didn't have any glaring fact errors in it. He also has his own thoughts and video on the best Yakuza starting points, so be sure to check that out if you want a second opinion. Anyway, more videos to come. Later.